You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next, the May 10th meeting of the Long Beach Board of Zoning Appeals. You can find more information for this meeting by looking at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
This is the Town of Long Beach Advisory Board of Zoning Appeals regular meeting, Tuesday, May 10th, 2022. It is 7 p.m. We are in the Long Beach Town Center meeting in person. We also have a Zoom connection available for those who are not able to be with us here. So we thank the number of people with us. Thank you all for being here. I encourage those at home to please attend in person in the future, but I'm glad we have Zoom, and it's even better that you can pay attention to what's going on in town, so thank you. So with that, we have our early summer, late spring weather. I hope everybody enjoyed the couple of days we're having here. Tell you, the sunset has been beautiful the past 2 days. I don't know if anybody's seen it. Every sunset is beautiful, but the past 2 days, it's like a golden ball in the sky. So we all enjoy going to the beach, but please don't forget to get down there at sunset, because it's just as pretty. The Town of Long Beach's zoning code imposes restrictions determined by the town council to be necessary to protect the interests of the community as a whole. The Board of Zoning Appeals is a quasi-judicial body that provides a forum through which property owners can seek relief from the strict requirements of the zoning code or from a decision by certain Long Beach officials charged with enforcing the zoning code. It is the role of the BZA to perform the public function of protecting the public interest while facilitating improvements and investments in a manner that is consistent with the intent of the zoning code. The decisions of the BZA are with respect to the laws and ordinances in place. As a quasi-judicial body, the BZA operates more like a court than a legislative body. So with that, I'll call the meeting to call to order. I'll ask Nick Collins, our secretary, please call the roll.
Board members, Chairman Michael Gorman.
Here.
Board members, Meg Canyon. Here. John Engel.
Here.
Doug Lindstrom.
Here.
Absent board member is Rich Jursich. BZA counsel Chris Willoughby.
Here.
BZA secretary Ben Collins, I'm here. Then Joe Jobman.
Here.
That concludes the roll.
Thank you, Meg. So we have a quorum, so we shall proceed. If everybody here will please rise and join us in the pledge of allegiance. Ask our secretary, Nick Collins, to please lead us in the pledge, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we will move into the agenda. Our first item is the approval of minutes from the April 12, 2022 regular meeting. The board members have those minutes and they reviewed them. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Make a motion to approve minutes.
Motion by Ms. Canyor, a second. Second by Mr. Mengel. Any discussion on the minutes? So we don't need a roll call. There's not voting, so we can do it by voice vote. So please call. Roll call. So all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, those minutes are approved. Thank you. Okay, we will move now on to the preliminary hearings. We have 5 preliminary hearings scheduled for this evening. For the sake of good order, so everybody understands what a preliminary hearing is, and for the sake of those folks at home who are watching and following us. The board will be making no decision tonight on an approval or denial of variances. That is done in public hearings. These are preliminary hearings. The purpose of the preliminary hearing is for the petitioner to state their case, for the board to ask questions and to end up with an understanding that we need an understanding of the project and what's involved in the ordinances. The petitioner needs to be comfortable that they are seeking what they need for their project. The decision that will be made and vote to either continue the preliminary hearing if we do not have the information we need, or otherwise we would set it for a public hearing at which a decision will be taken. So these are all preliminary hearings tonight, so. All right, our first preliminary hearing is Charles and Virginia Goodall, 2021 Silvertip Lane. This is the developmental standards variance petition requesting variance for the requirements of section 154, 134, non-conforming residential dwelling alteration permitted. Petitioner is seeking expansion of the non-conforming use via construction of an attached garage on a lot that is 11,000 square feet. The preliminary hearing was opened at the April 12th BZA meeting and was continued to tonight's meeting. So with that, I will turn to the petitioner to please address the board.
Good evening, board members. Attorney Brad Yancey here on behalf of Charles and Virginia Goodall, who are also here, as well as their architect, Heidi Gordon.
Thank you.
So I think I'll have some questions and answers, so we rallied through to get everybody here together. Part of the continuation from last month as well was we shifted from originally we were asking for a special exception under one section of the code to tailor it back to 154, 134, which is a variance request. The designs are the same, the plan is the same, it's just tailoring it to the right code to be requested. As we identified the properties, we have non-conforming lots, 11,000 square feet, which is below the required 12,001 square feet for a buildable lot. There's an existing home on the lot. We are requesting the ability to complete an attached garage building on that, which will increase the overall volume of the property, even though the removable hardscape we're reducing the footprint of the lot coverage. So the other thing we did is we added those specific measurements into our petition this time, which I know is requested for as well. Questions arose last month regarding the intended use of the space above the garage. We can represent that is not going to be any sort of permanent residency or anything along those lines. There will be electricity there, of course, with no water or plumbing. But again, an answer to that as well. They are basically becoming full-time residents here after being part of the community for many, many years. Now this gives them the opportunity to have inside parking as opposed to street parking, which are currently utilizing. And of course, in the winter months, those aren't the best conditions to be parking outside. So with that, I guess we can move into any questions the board may have. And again, the Goodalls are happily here to answer any questions you
Okay, thank you, Councilor. As you pointed out, your petition contains the footprint, footprint increase and the volume increase, 846 square feet of footprint and 13,547 volume.
have.
Does anybody on the board have any questions about those numbers?
Yeah, just a slight one. On the artist rendition, it shows patio and back. Is that part of
That's part of the
scheme?
Yeah, that's part of the capital.
I didn't see that square footage in the listing. I tried to add up everything, I didn't see that portion listed, and some of the prints didn't necessarily show that as a patio, it just shows the step coming down to the ground, so I thought perhaps this was just a liberty by the
That is a schematic rendering, and our plans are the project.
Okay, so this is a liberty,
Correct.
the artist's liberty.
Correct.
Okay.
Identify yourself for a second.
Heidi Meridian.
Thank you. So the footprint includes the full garage and concrete that's being put down.
Right, and I think it has a apron as part of it.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct, that part, is that gonna be living area?
No, we can actually have trailers.
I'm Charlie Goodall.
I'm Charlotte.
I'm Charlie Goodall, along with my wife Virginia, the owner. I was fortunate to be able to raise here in Long Beach, and was fortunate to be able to live here for the last 12 years as a summer resident. We'd like to retire here. No, that will not be any residential area there. That's just part of the garage, and my tool.
So the living space is the second floor of the garage.
Yeah, it'll be, Virginia's artist room. She's an artist, and part of her deal, her coming here to retire with me, is she gets to work on her painting, and there's ceramics out there. Okay, there'll be some electricity, it'll be heated and cooled, but, no water.
And it's an attached garage because of the breezeway connection at the second level.
Yes, sir.
You, and your daughter should not even do that.
They just,
Okay.
no in-laws.
All right, anybody else have any further questions or things they need to have answered? Well, are we okay with the addresses for service and so forth?
And are the lots combined under one parcel?
It's all one parcel.
Okay.
Okay, then at this point, we can entertain a motion to either continue this preliminary hearing if we need more information, or we can set this for a public hearing at our next BZA meeting, which is June 14th, 2022. Can I have a motion?
I would move that we set it for public hearing.
Okay, motion by Mr. Mengel, second by Ms. Cantor, thank you. Any further discussion on this petition? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to set this for a public hearing on June 14th? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, this matter will be back before us on June 14th for the deal. Okay, our second public hearing tonight is Brian and Patricia Duffy, 2211 Open Wall Drive. This is for a developmental standards variance petition requesting variances from the requirements of Section 154, 134, non-conforming residential dwelling alteration permitted, and Section 154, 052, construction and location standards for accessory uses and structures. Petitioner is seeking to increase the volume of a pre-existing pool shed on a non-conforming lot and to reconstruct the shed within the front and side setbacks. Preliminary hearing is set to open at May 10th, so at our seats. So we're set. Okay, so please present.
Good evening, Jennifer Gradanowski, on behalf of petitioners Brian and Patricia Duffy. We're not here this evening, but we do have the architect again, thank you for it, similar to the last project. This property is at 2411 Open Wall at the end. We're violating one of the first maxims of zoning law, which is seek permission, not forgiveness. We have a project that has already been through the building commission, approved the leasing house design. We felt approved on the reconstruction of pool shed as well. This was all asphalt, construction is completed. So again, we're not asking ahead of time, we're coming in after the construction. Citation was issued to the property owners on or about April 8th for the, what they call pool house and the setbacks, and increased volume of the pool house. It's not a pool house, it's a pool shed, and it closes the pool pump and the filter. It was pre-existing, it was built into the corner wall. The wall itself is circled within the setbacks. It's a quarter of the lot, so the setbacks obviously are very complicated. When you're calculating those as far as the number of feet required. The wall stayed the same. Interiorly, they reconstructed the pool shed, moved it slightly, actually decreased the overall footprint, but then went up. The purpose of going up was the previous pool shed had a flat roof. And that was causing deterioration over the years. Now it's got a pitch to roof, so a lot of runoff. Very preliminary with this, as far as this meeting, I don't even think that we're asking to move forward a public meeting yet without kind of figuring out the lay of the land between this board as well as the building commission. We just knew we had to take quick action after the citation was issued in April, and we wanted to at least show that we were working in good faith to address the concerns of the building commission once it became apparent in our minds. But again, this was, I think, been on the building commission's discussion agenda for a number of months, but not brought to our minds formal attention. They were certainly aware of it by March, but then the citation in April, of course. Again, the petition itself is similar to the last petition in the sense that it's a non-conforming construction. In this case, the non-conformity is that wall and the pool shed are built within the setbacks, front and side setbacks on the corner. The expansion of it, again, is simply like all the not footprint, the footprint's actually being reduced. Doesn't matter, it's still within the setbacks, it's still not a structure. I can answer what questions I can, and I know I need to answer any questions we're working at as well. But like I said, I don't think we're even asking tonight to push this forward to public hearing yet. We just, unless the board's inclined to do so, I mean, we will have to move forward. But I think there's probably still discussions we need to have with the building, which should even understand the depth behind the citation position. We think we're addressing it, but we make sure not.
Let me ask you to, expand on what you're saying. Petitions are brought before this board for a purpose. Actually, it's to seek a variance or other action. You just said you're not here to do that today. You're just here to get information. That's not the role of this board, so I'm confused right now. I spent, yes, we all spent time going over this. Our council spent time going over this. So what is it that we're being asked to do?
If this is the only relief we need from a tax perspective based on that citation, absolutely, that's the word. That's our issue on our end. This was an approved, from our perspective, an approved building permit. Construction was done, construction was completed months ago.
Just as a question. Brad, I had talked to the building commission about me. Why is it that the original building plan wasn't followed? Because you did not have permission to build this large of a structure. So why wasn't that followed?
Our position is that it was followed, or I can answer that specifically. I mean, this was done in conjunction with the building inspector who was out on site. Nothing was done here intentionally to hide or go beyond the plan where we felt that they were being followed. But I know there was some history, maybe I can address that, the original permit that was applied, and then I think when construction started, it was subsequent permit. But again, our position, with this wall and shed, so it was all intended to be part of the project.
Right. I understand the need for permission. I get that. But it was not permission to build on that large. Joe, I'm not sure, can you speak to that at all?
However,
The building commission?
Very well.
I can say I was at the building commission,
Okay.
but I was.
Okay.
Let's wait, okay. So,
If you want to hear from Joe.
what do you want, you're asking whether the plans which were presented to the building commission for permanent to move on.
That's what's going on because like the roof issue, that's something that wouldn't have occurred if they would not have approved that because it's kind of. And I live around the corner from this house, so I'm by every day and every night. And so as things start to progress, some of those things are not within what our building plans.
And for the sake of the record, your petition does not address any of these issues, so we were in the dark until right now, because we will put us in an unfair disadvantage here. These questions that Ms. Keener asked, I trust we all have these questions, should have been addressed, but that's besides the point now, so. Mr. Donovan, your building commission representative, speak up to answer my next question.
Do you want to do this specific question, or do you want to go overboard?
Let's say it's for a pool, I don't want to use the word cut, pool, building shed, thank you.
I did not, and I believe it's correct, that there was no building shed on the initial building permit application in the papers that were delivered to us at the time.
Unless somebody else has anything to say up here at the moment, I will let you continue, Brad, if you want. The architect to speak, go ahead.
Well, I read a and we had a general note for failing brick and stone walls, or we really
Excuse
see
me, do you have the microphone on? It's just hard to hear you.
it's a little out of sync.
There you go. Thank you.
So we did include remediating the wall. The shed for the pool equipment was integral to that wall and would have needed to be remediated just like the wall, which was approved. In the survey, that shed is not called out clearly. I did not catch that. But we did meet on site with the building inspector when it was time to remediate the stone shed that was there. And it was a better solution for us to make it a smaller footprint, frame it less costly, and enclose that pool equipment in the same corner without building it up in a spring. We thought we were following the correct procedure, reviewing this option with the building inspector, and we thought we had approval. We did not try to do something different, and then have just been told that it did not meet code. So we're here to fix that.
And I'm not trying to get that.
But we do, so it was an existing shed and we remediated it with the wall that was part of our permit.
So you had drawings which were submitted to, apparently you're saying the building inspector. You have drawings that were submitted to him,
Yes, that was submitted and via email, and that is our package.
and that's not in. There's nothing in here. This is a part.
Yeah, the whole picture.
This is part of the problem. We're looking at no shed, so I should be at this day.
You should have,
The old shed, I don't have any.
you should have a picture of that.
We have the surveyor location report from August of 19, which will be pre-construction, and it shows no shed. We have your plans, Heidi, okay, from October of 19, which shows no shed.
And you should have this page.
Well, that's, just let me understand what we're looking at. That's the drawing. Okay, I mean, this is not, I'm looking at a survey, I'm looking at detailed architect plan that you gave us, and then I'm looking at this handwritten thing, so no,
I'm gonna just show you on the site plan because that wall. Here's, this is our survey, and you're right.
oh, no,
This is where it was, correct?
I know that. The point is, I'm looking at this and it's not there. And yes, I do see, Brad, I do see this, when I call it a sketch, maybe it's the other thing, call it a sketch. I don't know what, you know, I can read the sketch, but it's like, I don't know that the building department approves this sketch. You didn't tell me that?
No, that was our meeting with the building inspector.
Okay, do you guys have anything else to say? We can answer more questions, right? Just let me turn to our councilor, so.
Is the wall that's constructed now, is that in the same location as the original wall?
Yes,
Or is it offset after you, put down?
no, it is in the same footprint.
I did see that, right in the same,
Oh, yes.
right,
So anyway, this will, petitioner appears to be saying that the building permit which was issued did not include this pool shed. They assumed, I have the words in the did not include this pool shed. You subsequently, at some point, I don't have any information there, at some point you met with a building inspector. And the building inspector told you that. So given what they've told us now, what you advise for us, what we can or can't do.
The difficulty, first and foremost, the easier route for you, the simplistic route is you can only consider what you're being asked. And whether that's sufficient or not to address the building commission issues that's their burden. I will say by my participation in both and over a series of months, this is probably one of those unfortunate events that puts the BZA in a position and answering questions and trying to reverse that should have been done at the previous level. And There has been several months of discussion initiated at the building commission level. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how one wants to tailor it, there was only a citation issue recently. My understanding, and it's different than the liaison as represented tonight, it's different than what the citation represents from the building commissioner or the building inspector, which is building a pool house without a permit. That's what they were cited for. However, that hasn't been the regular discussion before the building commission. It was, the real issue was the pitch or the height of the roof that was noticeably different than what was there. So in my opinion, and I'm not advocating for a position or an apologist for the Duffys, I can see where that leads to the confusion. That, as Mr. Adamski pointed out, I never went before the BZA asking for forgiveness versus permission. However, this one is one of those atypical scenarios where I think everybody's a little bit potentially wrong or added to the confusion of the scenario, which doesn't help you.
I have questions, I guess. One is, do we have a recommendation underlying all of this from the building commission? And second, do we have, and this comes out of ignorance, do we have the authority to go back and redo this at a different level? So I don't know, this is not something that normally falls in our lap, and so the first question is, do we have, my second question, because I said it second, but the biggest question, I guess, is do we even have authority to potentially go back in time and do this differently?
Ms. Rowe, you want to address that? You have the authority, and they need a variance. Otherwise, their potential action is enforcement by the building commission. You get an injunction and have them tear down their shed. By virtue of them being here, they got the message. What was conveyed at the building commission level is you're going to be cited, and you quickly need to demonstrate that you're moving forward asking for the permission that the building commission has determined they should have gotten. Of course, there's a difference of opinion of how everyone got there and what the understanding was. That is why they're here, and that's why it was expedited. And so I can understand Mr. Adamski. Certainly, your point is well taken, not wasting anybody's time. But the building commission, in my opinion, was very clear. We need to take swift action, or we're going to take enforcement action. So to answer that question, you do have the ability to grant that authority, and they in fact needed to have that pool house as it exists.
Structure.
Sure.
So the second, I'm sorry, to go back, do we have a recommendation from the building commission? Or what is the position of the building commission on this? Is it just that this is not in compliance, is that?
Yeah, feel free to correct me, Joe, you're a voting member of the commission, so that.
Again, because of everything that took place, and it's been a lot of time, you know, I understand the situation just maybe a little bit differently than you suggested, Chris, is at the last couple of meetings, I thought, I've been pretty explicit that there's two issues involved with this pool. And one issue is what you guys just addressed, that it was never on the building specs. It was never on the architectural drawings. That's number one. It was never there. And then number two is we could get into approval or not approval, but the basic other point is that pool, that deck, whatever it's called, the pool shed, has to be, according to ordinance, 30 feet from the street. That's the ordinance. And there's a terrible, it needs a setback, because that property, good, bad, or different, borders 3 streets. And if you border streets, there's different setbacks. There's 30 all the way around. So that's where I do it completely differently. Some people at our meetings would talk about volume. I don't even bring up volume. I'm bringing up 2 points, and that's my points that I've been stressing for the last couple of meetings.
Did the building commission provide them the petition with anything ready?
Honestly, I don't have any idea.
Okay, the only right we have is a citation.
Which I have not seen a citation.
Provided to you, would like to, but we originally were going to include it with the position.
Which is very, again, for the record, it's very generic, cited under section 151.01, and it just says pool house, even though it's not a house, without a boiling or a building.
If you're, are we talking about the side setback?
No, it's
Talking about the citation.
the citation again says,
Pool house without building permit, fine $100.
that's pretty clear.
Then sorry,
It doesn't address specific variances or whatever, it says you don't have a permit.
beneath that it says pool house,
Yes.
front setback, increased volume. That's right.
Okay. Our role as BZA is not to second guess the building commission or what the building commission does, so we're not here to critique what they did. We're not part of that commission, they're not part of this commission. Joe is here as a representative from the building commission to provide some feedback, so we have full information. Is this, is part of what we're dealing with here, a situation where there was a breakdown at the building commission level? In other words, we're hearing that the building inspector gave approval. Is that, it sounds like that's not, well, it's not a building permit, that's the building inspector saying something. Does the building inspector have that authority? Should he have something different? And I don't know that, I want to be adjudicating who should have did what, but
Right, I don't think that's your purview. I do think that we have issues within the building commission on this project. And again, it's evidenced by, I don't know, 6, 8 months passing since the construction was done. And overall, I think there are some choices by the petitioner, for instance, is hearing Mr. Johnson's comments tonight, they could treat it as a brand new variance, even though construction is done, and take all of the potential, right? If what Mr. Johnson says and what the citation cites these setbacks and the volume, then they're asking, it's a free-for-all, right? And then we get into the issue of, did you tear it down? And now should you conform with everything, right? Is it new, or did you rehab what was there and improve upon? And so there are a lot of issues that you're not aware and we don't know, that's up to them to present. The size, does that get to be, is it over what the minimum or the maximum size could be based on the percentage of the overall lot, right? So there are a lot of questions that you don't have information. Again, I empathize with Mr. Adamski. They did take quick action because that was the gist of the message from the building commission. There is a building commission meeting coming up Friday, and it might behoove them to get a little more direction on what is or isn't acceptable. And I will say my understanding, and I'm not a voting member, Joe's here representing, I would venture to say you would find some other building commission members that don't have that same opinion, but I think it would be helpful for everybody if the building commission gave some written direction on what they want to see. And if it truly is that, and this citation does speak for that, right? And all of this speaks for itself. They could appeal this citation, right? They could take different actions as well. So you're hard pressed to make any decisions other than what they've asked for. What they've asked you for is a variance on volume, right? And that's what we presented, and they can roll the dice and go forward with that. Or they can go back and try to get some more direction to really fill out the issues and decide, is this a brand new shed, and we have to start from scratch, right? And make sure that we're compliant with everything, or is it a volume issue, or is it just a setback volume issue? Because I think that potentially opening up that door of you need setbacks, well, then you may need 4 or 5 other variances as well.
That's what I was just gonna say, the wall, we gave permission for that wall, and I am not good at, unless I have a ruler or a tape measure, that wall is not 30 feet from the road.
But the problem with that, and let's go one step further, when we get into setbacks, there's already violations with that setback with the wall. It doesn't help you make your decision because that may be a moot point for the shed.
The wall is also pre-existing.
Yes, and so that shed being there and being in the setback, it's moot, but that's not figured aside.
It's moved if it's the same shed.
Potentially, right, and that setback and anything being in there is that wall, but that needs to come from the building commissioner.
To be clear, you are asking this board to consider, well, let's stop it. Are you asking for us to make a decision on a public hearing? Start out by saying you don't think that's what you're doing.
I think in light of Mr. Willoughby's comments, especially with the building commission coming up on Friday, I think it makes sense to not to public yet.
You agree with it?
Yeah,
But I wanted to clarify, we should clarify, you're gonna talk about, you were asking us for 2 minutes. You're asking us for a volume variance on the 134, or 134, you're asking for a volume variance. Difference between 11, 10, 15, 16, 19. Page 1, petition, right? You're asking for that volume.
We're increasing it up.
And then you're asking for a second variance. Some still, for 052 deals with placement of the shed. You got setback issues. Unless, I guess, are you telling us that you don't need a setback variance? Are you taking, none of this is clear. Are you taking the position that this is the existing shed that just needs volume? Because 157, which are the setbacks, you should be asking us for setbacks. And then there's the one that has been brought up, which is, well, it's 154, 152C, which requires a 30-foot setbacks.
Yeah.
You see, you haven't been clear about what you're asking. So I think you need to do that. If you're gonna go to the building commission, if you're gonna come back to us, you need to clarify what it is you're asking us for.
If I could further add the inclusion of that, I mean, obviously, the wall is what's encroaching in the setback. I mean, the wall is part of the shed, or our position is that the wall is part of the shed. So the shed switched positions or moved positions, but ultimately, it didn't go outside or beyond the wall. So the wall is what is establishing where we are in the setbacks.
So are you,
And the wall,
you think you're asking for, or will be asking for setback variances for the wall?
no, the wall is reconstructed.
Right. Okay. And, okay, so your setback variances, when you clarify what you need, it's going to be dealing with the shed. Now, I'll ask a question here. I'm confused over, this is an existing shed, and all we're doing is increasing the volume. Yeah, I don't get that, but provide us these colored pictures here, okay? Because again, the survey location report, the after drawings don't show the shed. But if you give us these pictures in the snow, and lo and behold, the one at the bottom left shows an old shed. It's the first time I've been able to understand, well, there is a shed. Okay, then I go back and I look at that sketch. Sketch. Isn't it where the shed is? You look at the sketch shows here's the old shed, that shows the new shed being replaced. So this is not an existing shed with a line increase, in my opinion. You can clarify that with the building commission, you can clarify that for yourself. I'm not telling you what to do, but giving you my thoughts here. I don't see this as an existing shed that's just having a higher roof. You guys catch what I'm
The
saying?
sheds are the locations.
Yeah, I was never clear as to exactly where the old shed was.
The only thing you got is this picture. That's the only thing they showed us, and it's still not clear from that. And if you look at the sketch that they provided us, you see that the new shed is not in the same place as the old shed.
So does that mean the old shed was up here someplace? I just never.
It's on that picture.
The old shed is on Hazel Farm.
Oh, okay.
you have any more questions for us?
No, I absolutely hear what the board is saying, and I think had this all started prior to construction, certainly we would see, okay, we're building a potentially new shed, if we destroy the existing shed, or moving the footprint of it, or changing the location of it, we would have come before the board for a variance at that, and that's a setback variance. So I think it's almost like we kind of pled in the alternative, either it's an existing that we're increasing in non-conformance, or it's not considered existing, so we need the variance from the setback.
Okay, none of that is clear. So you need to clarify that. And I did share, which I was concerned. Do we have the ability to grant that variance as it says? And you clarified that we have that ability. So,
It's not ideal.
well, it's not ideal, but if we have that authority, then we can exercise that discretion how we see fit, provided to satisfy the standards to get a variance. Anybody else have any other questions that we would want Mr. Adamski to address for the next meeting? So I presume what you are asking us is to put this over, to continue this preliminary until the next meeting, or do you want to take it off the agenda to sort out what you want to do?
No, we'd like to be on the next meeting.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and I think if something comes up at the building commission level, for instance, if Mr. Johnson were to say that in the building commission in general, you need to submit new plans or a new permit for this shed and start anew, they can simply ask for time and it's be approved. So that nobody's wasting anyone's time.
To be just to be.
But if they receive confirmation that, listen, we're happy with seeking the variance for the 30-foot setback and volume and everything else in their mind fits because it's grandfathered, it's already set, and then your charge will be to consider what's before you and they can move forward or submit an amended petition.
You have this.
I do, I will email an electronic copy, it's very hard to read, I guarantee that's a better copy.
Keep this? Yes,
I have that.
So is that shed purely mechanicals?
I mean,
There's no bathroom or anything in there, or other storage, not purely mechanicals for the pool.
Okay,
Probably some.
prepared.
okay, so I'll make the motion to continue this preliminary hearings until our June 14th BZA. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Cannon. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of continuing this preliminary hearing? Aye. Opposed, hearing none, this is continued to June 14th. So the filing deadline for June 14th is May 31st, 2 weeks prior to the week. So if you do not file anything with us by May 31st, we're going to put this on. Because we can't hear this in this condition. Okay, so if you intend, right now you're on the agenda for the 14th. If you don't file anything with us by 31st, we're going to exercise our ability here just to continue on until July. Okay?
I know you can't commit to that, but is it safe to say we'll be on the agenda Friday at the building commission here?
That's how I will make sure that we bring it up to talk about the citation, so.
I don't know. We'll figure this, we have a big thing going on.
For sure, you may not get answers, but we can talk about the citation and we start the process.
Thank you. Thank you. Are you ready? We move on to our third public hearing, and this is Arlene and Carrie Tingle, 2311 Hazeltine Drive. It's a developmental standards variance petition requesting variances for the requirements of section 154, 127, residential single non-conforming lot recreated district, and section 154, 134, non-conforming residential dwelling alteration. Petitioner is seeking to replace the existing deck with a new porch, resulting in increased volume and correcting a current side setback non-compliance on a lot that is 10,485 square feet. So we're hearing will open today, so petitioner would step forward.
Good evening, I'm Arlene Tengel, and my husband and I purchased 2311 Basil T. in years ago. A little background, when we purchased the home, we inherited a water problem in the basement. Unfortunately, one of the previous owners built a deck over an existing stairwell and door to the basement, so there's no way to access that building without ripping out the deck. So we would like to correct the flooding issues, basement walls failing, and the deck will need to be removed in order for us to repair, waterproof, and regrade the area. And then we would like to replace that deck with a screened-in porch. The screened-in porch will be on the same footprint as the existing deck. We really enjoy our time outside. We have branding. It's sometimes it's hard to sit out there on just the deck, because we get a lot of trees and acorns, and at that time of year, it's actually impossible to sit on the deck. So the screening porch would just be a great addition for us and allow us to enjoy our home and backyard more. We applied for a building permit, but we were turned down by the building commission because our lot is not conforming, being only 10,185 square feet. So, I included in the package from the building inspector in Maryland. The porch, the gross volume of the new porch will be 3,854 cubic feet. The existing deck is 6¼ inches across the side setback, and the new screened-in porch will correct this non-compliance, which I think I stated, and it will be built inside the side setback. We'll be also reducing lot coverage from 32.78% to 30.76%. It's my understanding that we need a variance from the requirements of 154, 134, because we'll be adding volume. Because Blue Mountain reference section 154, 127 in the denial letter, I added that to my petition, but to be honest, I was a little unsure if that was relevant, if I needed to add that or not. It's a little confusing for me to read through the code, and it seems to me I just need the 154.134. On that positive. That is it as far as our project goes. But if anybody has any questions, my architect, Heidi Kennedy, is also here. Yeah. Right, so.
You are correct, you are a good reader of the zoning code. I don't understand what the building inspector told you, and I think for Mr. Joplin, you might take that back to the building commission and have someone clarify for the building inspector that you should cite the code section 154, 127 is when you're gonna build a new house on Bailey Line.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think of that there.
Nice. So you were correct, so good job on that, okay? You are talking about an overall lot coverage reduction.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear about that, because you're not asking for a variance on lot coverage. You know, it might be something you might take into consideration, that's good, right? But it's not, we're not asking for any kind of variance. You're also going to correct a side setback issue. And that's not before us to do anything about it. And that's relevant. The building commission would be pleased to see those kinds of things. So you don't have a building permit at this point? No. I think the building commission would be pleased to see those things. I think it's good too, but it's not relevant to our decision. Agree with me?
I just wanted to outline.
No, you should, that's what you should do. You need to tell us as much as you can to make your project acceptable to the local government. So, you are asking for, then that means if we take 154, 127 off the table, you're only asking for a volume increase, and that's for the new screen porch. Right. So is that screen porch going on the same footprint?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take your word on that. I wasn't able to exactly see that off of this, and I did take a look at your property when I can. I like to look at the properties. It's much better to put your feet on something than look at it. But you're saying, and then that's your representation to us, so that we won't be based our decision on is that there is no footprint increase.
No.
So I'm gonna leave it at that. That's your call. So no footprint. Everybody understand the 3,854 square feet of volume increase?
Yes.
Okay.
I do have a question about my air house as well. Is there a setback issue? Because the house that's right there, Caroline, which is right there, there's side door, side, it doesn't appear as though there's adequate setback there. So would that have to be addressed?
Well, who said that?
Hers. I mean, between the properties, I'm just simply bringing it up because it appears to be very close.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's close, but there's a survey in there too. I don't know how they did it.
So, I also want to point out that the building commission,
Right here. So this is our way.
No.
I'm really looking at it.
Right was
Well, go ahead, say what you're going to say.
For me, if you're going to talk about it, it's like,
Yes.
these dash lines, this is our required 10-foot side setback. Required 10-foot side setback, and this dash line, the chimney of the existing house goes over there. Here's our existing wooden deck right here, and we're replacing just that wooden deck on the screen porch, but it's over our side setback, 6 inches, we're gonna correct that.
As is the whole house.
The whole bit, the rest of this existing houses, we're not gonna touch.
Well, no.
So it's just going to square it up.
Yeah, and then here's there, we have 30 feet out the rear. Right. So, that's what we're.
Okay, one clarification, here's another important one. And I know that you're not addressing that and so forth, but just in terms of completeness.
Did you tell me you wanted to get, Mr. Willoughby?
well, I just wanted to point out that there were no setback issues raised based on what they were instructed to come to that would allow them to get their building permit. So that part of it, we can take comfort that they actually do have a right that points out.
I understand.
Anybody else on the board need any further information or have any questions for the petitioners? Yeah.
So,
Yes. Okay, is there any further?
Nothing.
All right, then do we have a motion? We can either continue this preliminary hearing if you feel there's something on this yet, or you can set it for a public hearing. Motion by Ms. King, second by Mr. Nangle, any discussion? All in favor of setting this for a public hearing at the June 14th meeting? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, so this matter is set for public hearing at our June 14th meeting. You need to continue by the rules as you've done so far, you know, it's easy to make sure that register letters and so forth, they file the clerk's office, receipts, and make sure you guys put up the, on-site notice.
That's not signed, because we are on. I would get to. Yeah. That's. It'll be some Okay.
Right, so just make sure you got right across your teeth, because those things can cause you problems.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, our fourth preliminary hearing is Todd and Jennifer Rusinski, 2016 Memorial Trail. This is for a development standards variance petition requesting variances for the requirements of section 154, 157, schedule of district regulations, setback height, zoning, lot size, and coverage, and section 154, 106, structure projection into setbacks. The petitioner is seeking to install a patio, pergola, and sidewalk, resulting in increased lot coverage in excess of 35% on a lot that is 10,500 square feet and creating a projection into the setback. Okay, so we'll open our public hearing, and ask you to please let us hear about your project.
I'm Todd Brzezinski, my wife Jennifer, we reside at 2016 Memorial Trail. We just bought the property in June of last year, and we're looking to put in a patio in the back because it was grass, but the dogs tore it all mud. And looking for a little more privacy because both of our neighbors have decks up high and we're below guys. So next to our house, if you look out the window, I can look at them and see them right through the window, so we always convert to the shot. So we're looking to gain a little bit of privacy and a little bit of space on that to enjoy the wonderful view from the valley.
No, you can just, you state your case, you tell us what we need to know, and whatever you have.
When you come out the back door, build a 20 by 20 approximate, brick patio with pavers 6 inches of, road path and 2 inches of vinyl and the pavers on top of that, and then the pergola on top to break the view of the neighbors looking down there. And then a little side pergola that'll reach out to the setback to, again, give us a little privacy, a little more privacy than we currently have at the location.
Okay. All right, we'll turn to the board for your wishes.
Any images, photographs of something that you're anticipating with this pergola? I mean, I see it. But I was wondering what it would look like. It's just, is this a manufactured item? Or is this construction? No, it's gonna be constructed. It's a basic plan. I pulled around, I'm a custom cabinetry, so I'm used to doing all that. Yeah, it's good. Unfortunately, I'm a little picky, foolish when I come to everything better straight. Find out the full match, same color. And the ones on the side of the house, that you constructed in a similar manner?
Similar, but just half of it, you know, just 8 feet, I think. I didn't do any drawings on that because it's the same. Is it?
The reason I mean, that one in particular, that one is, would be in the setback more dramatically, so that one is particular interest, what it looked like, or what the impact would be, in my mind, so.
It looked just like that. That one, I said, I draw a half of one. But wait, let's, I brought up the sidewalk, west side of the house, but let's address any questions. Yeah, I'm asking for a lot coverage variance under 157. And then structure projection in the setback, 106. Should you be asking for a setback variance? You're into the setback on right or
Side.
side? Well, I'm talking about side first, but you are, you're in the setback on the side. It's not just a structure projection. Your pergola is a structure that is in the side setback.
That would be in the side setback, yes.
A structure projection makes 106 on the first example.
I tried to clarify with the government, which variances are.
So you have not been before the building commission.
No, I haven't.
You were relying on the building commissioner to work.
Yes,
And you didn't get right.
nothing. I tried, I emailed 3 times and I'm getting no results.
Okay, so let's continue to talk about this west side of your house. You are removing some stairs there now.
I was just going to resurface it. Well, the woods that's in Walden or something, but I was just going to try something out of it. So these triggers and just replace the boards.
In my opinion, somebody else tell me if I'm right or wrong, you're on that sidewalk there. This pergola is encroaching into the setback. It's not, a structure projecting would be a deck, would be an above ground thing which projects, or cantilever it out or something, yes. This is an actual structure that's going to be placed in the setback. So this is 154, 157. And side setback on your property is 10 feet. So if you're gonna put this pergola there, you need to tell us how much of a setback you're asking for. Setback variance you're asking for. You need 10 feet. If you're gonna put a pergola that goes, I think you're saying it's going to go, it looks like it's 6 feet. 8 feet there, so
Well, I mean, going to the setback 6 feet.
so if you're going 6 feet to the setback, that's the variance you're asking for. You gotta tell us that. Oh, it's 154, 157. We're not here, we're just trying to clarify what you're asking for. We're not here to tell you what you need.
Right.
You have to tell us what you want. So your structure, your pergola is in the setback, that's a setback encroachment. So if you want to build that there, and I trust the building commission should go over this, you need a variance on your side setback, right? Agree?
I'm just saying.
No, you're right, you went before a representative. Excuse me. Okay, so that's that. Does anybody else have anything else to say about that pergola? And so it's an encroachment in the side setback.
Right.
And it's a structure. First, pergola is a structure. It's not a projection. It's a structure. Okay.
Yeah, you start, as your representative post.
Yes. And how high would it be?
8 feet.
Yeah, 8 feet, the roof line's at 8 foot, so probably 8 foot.
So I think that's relevant for us to know. You need to provide us that information because I think to consider a setback variance, it's not just the absolute amount into the setback, it's the it's the height, because your neighbor, you're getting closer to him than the code allows you to get to him. You're not only getting closer, but you're putting this thing up there. So I think we need to think about that also.
So if I stop the post on
And you're in a 10-foot setback.
and cantilever,
Well, then you need a variance from 106, which is structure projection in the setback. If you cantilever it over, if you have no, somebody's got me if I'm wrong here, if you have no post, no foundation, no, nothing on the ground, okay, then you're not into the setback, but if you extend over, you cantilever just a platform of some sort, then that's 106, so you still need a variance. And I think if we go, tell us how high that's gonna be. Yeah. You, Mr. Donovan, you're sitting there, we're giving him some input here. At some point, this would come to you. You understand what I'm saying? On that west sidewalk?
Yes,
Okay. All right, so that's that, right?
Well, it might not matter, I guess I'm curious as to the function of the side pergola.
because the deck next to us is above us. So I thought with the slats on the top of the pergola, it would interrupt the view. And it'd be sort of a distract, when you look right at someone, versus having a structure in front of it, it'll break the view, break up the thing, like they do lattice, so.
Yeah, and I understand that for the pergola in the back, I guess I'm not sure I quite get it for the pergola going over the access to the patio.
Well, it's almost like an awning type thing I want to create, so that when you look down, they don't look right into the windows. The boards at the top of the pergola will block the view.
The side windows, right?
Yeah, the three side windows.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, that's a problem that many people, I don't know the word problems, but it's a situation many homeowners deal with. There's a house next door, and sometimes it's close, and sometimes it's further, and sure enough, there's a window there. And I don't know that, and if he feels he needs this, he needs variance with it, he has the right to ask for it. But I think we need to consider, whether this is something unique, whatever it is. I mean, do you see the property?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's an interesting piece of property. Your property drops down.
There are guys, so that's.
Well, the one next to you is not. The one next to you is on the same, to the front, it's on, the house is the same way.
Yeah, but
This house over here is up, but their issue is your property drops down.
But they're decorative, they hang out in their stories, so.
Yes.
If their deck was down low and mine was down low, I'd put me.
Yeah, you just bought the house 2 years ago. I mean, this was a situation that existed when you bought the house.
Right.
So it was there, it was foreseeable. I'm not saying it should, but this one was foreseeable. There are maybe other alternatives. Maybe instead of a patio and pergola, you should build a room. I don't know, I'm just saying there's all kinds of ways. Okay, so you got that. What about, then you have the concrete, or it's gonna be paper bricks, you said? Yes. Paper bricks patio with the pergola on top of it in the back of your house. That, based on your sketch here, and it would be helpful if we ask you to come back, it would be helpful if you provided us do we have a survey? Would you give us a survey?
Just for mitigation.
Let's understand what property markings here, but anyway, you're going over setback and back. Yes. So that requires the same variance. You need a 20-foot setback in the rear, which that's what you acknowledge here. It says you're going 2.3 feet into the setback. Right, that's what this says.
I might be bigger back.
Well, then that's for you to decide, but you need a variance in the back also for you to make that point, right? Okay, that's that, right? There's nothing in here is a pergola a structure? Does it create monument?
Well, that's why I was asking that.
I'll let you.
Yeah, I wondered that when we were talking, is it
It's really a shame. Just what it is.
I don't know.
I was, is there roof for that?
No.
Well, I hear you, I don't know that you have something in line to say that, I mean, what is it, man?
Well, that was for the range as well.
Right. That's an issue, I guess, for the building commission, I would think I would tend to, but I was raising the question, so the petitioner hear all this stuff from us.
Yeah.
So when, and if he comes back, he covers all his bases. And then, I guess the last maybe point is you're asking for a variance or lot coverage.
Yeah.
Okay. How much of a variance are you asking?
Currently, the problem with the house is that the driveway is so large that it takes up of a lot, it's a small lot, so we're only allowed 3,675 square feet. And my driveway takes up 46% of that. So that eats up, so, I even thought about making a one-lane driveway going up to gain footage back, so I didn't have to, go through all the variances and stuff. But, I'm looking at adding 752, so I did the spreadsheet, there you go.
Yeah,
The shaded area is what's being added. Yep. So that would be up to a 44.4%.
And the current is what?
The current is 37.3.
Thank you.
and you're going up to 44.4, so that's a,
7%.
so your lot coverage under the code is 35%. You see that already?
Yes.
You're not conforming for other reasons, your lot not conforming because the lot is too small, but you're also not conforming because of your lot coverage in excess of 35%. So you're asking to further increase that lot coverage, okay? We understand that, okay? When you bought the house, did you get a survey? This is a 1999 survey or application.
There was,
I mean, you must have,
it was from someone else and it was rudimentary.
looking at your files, I think it's much more current than this. Anybody else have any other questions? So we raised a lot of points for you to consider. One is, we understand the lot coverage increase that you're asking for. I think you need to focus on the setback on the side, the west side of the house. You need to focus on whether it's a setback variance, whether it's a structure projection variance, how much of a variance in those cases, and then in the back, you need to ask for, based on this sketch you gave us, you need to ask for a setback variance at the back of the property. Yeah, that's what it looks like. That is it. Right? So, any other questions for Mr.
Now, also,
Mazzocchi?
just as a matter of, we didn't submit any findings and decisions that would become important near the end of this.
He submitted a blank form where you're supposed to put in.
Right.
Yeah, the proposed findings and decisions. That gives them information that they might consider, if they were, in making the ultimate decision. So you submitted the form.
It's easy to attend what you said, but you just gave us a blank form.
Well, it wants the meeting date and stuff like that, which has to happen.
There's a difference. You need to, this is, in order for this board to grant a variance, there are state conditions, state statutory conditions, and it must be not against the public interest, it must not, must not devalue neighboring properties, and strict enforcement of code would prevent you from otherwise using the property. So you have to meet those standards. If you don't meet those standards, we cannot give you a variance just because we like it. Sure. So that's what this
So
is.
just to read them and then.
You have you have to give us your reasons why you need these state standards. This is something we need so we can consider your petition. That's the BZA 10. So that needs to be filled out and submitted with your petition.
So those standards, nobody's asking you to regurgitate those or recite the law. The law's there for your legal hurdles. I'm giving a little more than we normally do. Your legal hurdles that you have to meet are spelled out in the form that you submitted. What you didn't supply are the reasons that they should consider granting it. The facts, the supporting reasons, you said some of them tonight. Those are the things that go into the proposed findings of decision, the reasons why you need those. You've given in your discussion tonight, the things that could go in there that you would offer.
It'll make sense. And then the addresses
Thank you for clarifying.
that you provided, we just need a match for where they are here. We have the mailing, but here it's got to be in Texas, but which is his property.
There is there's two sets of things there. One has the associated property next to it, and the other one is just the mailing.
Okay, then it was different, that's fine. Thank you. Got it. Thank you.
I tried, it's 45 pages long. It was a lot of long nights trying to figure this thing out. I was trying to figure out, get help on what variances. I'm trying to read it.
You should see whatever council you need, but before us, you need a legal decision. As I said at the beginning of the meeting, our decisions are subject to the code, to the ordinances, state code and the ordinances. So we're very particular because dealing with real estate is a legal decision. So you need to take things seriously. Yeah, well, thank you. All right, so do I have a motion to either continue this or set this for a public hearing? I think we introduce.
And before you go further, are you needs to make a decision and then give him the dates that he's going to file and amended?
Yes.
And you would consider it continuing as well.
Yes. Yes. And then we'll make a motion to continue this preliminary hearing. All right, so the motion by Ms. Cantor, a second by Doug Woodson. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. So that motion carries. So your preliminary hearing is continued until the June 14th meeting. And there are rules which are all printed in our information packet. The deadline for filing documents with us as well. This meeting is 2 weeks prior. So by May 31st, you must file in the clerk's office. You're going to need a new EZA 1, clarifying the variances you're asking for. You're going to need to submit any other documentation that's responsive to what we've been talking about. Okay? Okay.
Is this recorded on Zoom that I can?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay, our fifth and final preliminary hearing for this evening. Is Patrick and Rebecca McCusker, 2208 Chastleton Drive. It's a developmental standards variance petition requesting a variance in the requirements of section 154. Appendix A, which is the lot coverage and size. The petitioner is seeking to install a shed 10 feet from the causeway behind his home. The preliminary hearing is set to hold. Sounds like we have someone from the petitioner on Zoom, is that right?
Yes, hi everyone, Pat McCusker is here, the owner of the property.
Okay, all right, Mr. McCusker, you can proceed.
Wonderful, thank you everybody for taking the time, and I'll try to be quick here, recognizing we're a bit over time. So first, I just want to provide a little bit of context and history on the shed, if folks recall. Been working on this for a couple of years now, and I believe I've done everything in good faith and trying to respect and follow the rules at every stage. So let me
Can I interrupt you? Please.
I'm sorry?
Please talk slower because it comes through a little garbled on this end. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I apologize. So I just wanted to set some context and provide some history on the shed. If people recall, I've been working to get this approved for 2 years now, and I believe I've done everything in good faith and trying to follow the rules at every stage of the process. So just to share some of the context, I reached out to the building commissioner 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, who recommended I engage a lawyer. He referred me to a lawyer, and the committee, and then the lawyer helped me through that process. The committee took up my petition. I sent this is back in 2020, the summer of 2020. I sent the registered letter to 21 of my neighbors. I also had a written letter of support from 5 of my neighbors immediately surrounding our lot on all sides. The committee did allow the shed to go through, although I do have a non-conforming lot. However, the committee requested that I make the shed 1% of my lot, which I have now done in my latest permit application. However, despite paying my attorney thousands of dollars, he failed to include a request for the variance to put the shed in the back corner of our lot, 10 feet off the back, which also happens to be a causeway, which is not in use. So I submitted my updated permit application without my attorney this time in March of 2021, so now 14 months ago. And despite numerous phone calls and emails last year, I did not receive a formal response from the building commissioner until just a couple months ago. So I have now resubmitted my application for a variance based on the feedback I received 2 months ago, and am now requesting a variance for the shed to be 10 feet off the back of the lot, which is also, as I said, 10 feet off the causeway. I will note that this request includes a variance for both 154 Appendix A, as noted in the agenda. It also includes a request for Section 154.052. I did include that request in the latest version I'd sent to Deanna, and she assured me that that latest version would be included in the printout that was sent to the committee members. So hopefully that was included in the final documentation. But just to clarify, I'm requesting a variance for both 154 Appendix A and 154.052 for the causeway. In terms of why I would like to do this, as I mentioned last time, I have 5 young children, and they love playing in the backyard. And if I put this shed 20 feet off the back of the lot and off the back of the causeway, I will need to chop down a 75 to 100-year-old oak tree. The alternative is to put the shed right in the middle of the backyard, and our kids enjoy playing in the backyard. So between an oak tree and my kids' football field, the football field's going to win. And without a variance, I'll plan to cut down the tree and put the shed 20 feet off the back, but without a really beautiful old oak tree in our backyard, which I certainly don't want to do, and I don't believe the town would prefer that outcome, which is why I'm petitioning to have this variance. Related, given the history and time and money I've spent thus far, I'm also requesting that if the committee opts to take up my petition at the next meeting, that we waive the requirement to send the letter to the 21 registered, the registered letter to the 21 neighbors, given I did that last time with a larger shed that I'm asking for now, and also had the 5 letters of support directly from my surrounding neighbors. Not a huge deal, but it would save me a little bit of time and money, and I've invested a lot, as I said, thousands of dollars in a lawyer and countless hours over the last 2 years to try to do this. So would respectfully request that if the committee opts to bring me up in June, that we not do the registered letter step. Hopefully that was clear, and I was speaking quietly and slowly enough, but any thoughts or questions?
Okay, thank you. What is the size of this shed?
It is exactly 1% of my lot. So approximately 10 feet by 11.5 feet.
Okay,
which is what the committee
The ordinance requires 1% of lot size, so that you're complying with that ordinance is what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That wasn't clear from your, I was implying that that's what you were doing, so, okay.
Yes, in the original permit, I did clarify my intent to have a square footage equal to 1% of our property, which is down, as I mentioned, from the last request where it was significantly bigger, and the committee did not want me to make that big of a shed.
So you, in your petition, you are asking for a variance from 154 Appendix A, that's the general regulations for setbacks and lot size and so forth. You then reference 154-052. That's not in your petition, is it? I don't believe it is. So clarify what setback variance you're asking for.
Yes, both the 154 Appendix A and the 154-052. Deanna helped me with this, and she assured me she was going to put this additional page that calls out the 154-052 for the causeway, given the causeway behind our house. But I apologize.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what kind of conversation you have with anybody, but you need to take the responsibility for whatever you file with us. So, and if you would have seen the agenda, which I'm sure you must have, posted online, we only have one variance here, that's for 154 Appendix A. So you are asking to also include 154-052, which is fine.
Yeah, I apologize for the hiccup, but like I said, I worked with.
What is the variance you're seeking under 154-052?
The same one, to be 10 feet off the causeway.
And what is the setback requirement under 154-052?
I believe it's 20 feet, but I don't know for sure.
Well, it is not 20 feet. Under 154 Schedule A, it's 20 feet, unless your house abuts a street or a courtway, and that's what your house does. In 154-052, subsection C states that the setback shall be at least 30 feet from a street, place, alley, courtway, or right. So you're required under the ordinance, 154-052, to have a 30-foot setback.
Yes, I do, because the causeway is in the back, so it's the same request. I'd like to be 10 feet off the back so I don't have to cut down the tree.
Okay, so despite what your petition says, you understand that your variance is, your setback is a 30-foot setback, not a 20-foot setback for your property.
Yes, I apologize. I didn't recognize that was the case, but you know, whether it's 10 or whether it's 20 or 30, my request is still to be 10 off, so I don't have to cut down the tree.
Okay. All right. Anybody else want to ask any questions at this point?
So this kind of questions. So is this structure, does it have a foundation, or is it just setting, like a pre-manufactured building that sits on the surface of the ground?
Yes, that's exactly right. It's just a pre-manufactured building that sits on the surface. Doesn't have a foundation.
There's no foundation that goes below grade?
No, that's right. And I probably will put some gravel underneath it, but there's certainly no foundation. It's also a really nice shed, the one I picked out, that matches the house and will be aesthetically pleasing.
Any other questions? Where is it on your property that you're proposing to put this shed?
As you're looking at the house from Castleton, in the back the back left corner, which is where it was.
Yeah.
I included a survey with a call out of where I proposed to put the shed.
And you gave us, you gave us the plan survey from March of 2020, and that includes a shaded area at the back left, which appears to comply with the side setback, which is 10 feet. And what you're saying is that, what you're showing us there has a 10-foot setback from the court. Is there?
Yeah.
Did you consider alternative locations on your property for the shed?
Yes, I did, but as I said, I have 5 young children who play in that backyard just about every day in the summertime, and there is no other practical place to put the shed. So in order for my kids to still be able to play outside, I'll need to cut down that tree.
Could you put the shed in the back right corner?
No, that's where my kids' trampoline is.
Excuse me? Right, trampoline could be moved. I'm not telling you what to do, I'm just talking out loud for the sake of understanding the project and for the board's comments here. There's a trampoline in the back right. Trampoline could be moved, that's not a structure, that's a play.
But it still has the issue of, by being 30 feet off the causeway, it's still right in the middle of my backyard. And then the yard with that tree becomes much smaller. And look, I mean, it's just not practical. The reason we go up there is so my kids can play outside, and I'm not gonna cut their yard in half.
Could you put the shed closer to your back deck?
Yes, I could, and that would require chopping down the tree.
Maybe you, maybe not, I'm calling your backyard pretty clearly, there's a lot of open space. Again, I'm not telling you what to do, I'm just trying to understand whether there are alternatives for where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, I've been studying this problem for 2.5 years now, and there really is no other option other than 10 feet off the back. Or look, if the committee would like, I can cut the tree down. I'm fine to do that. I'm not excited about it, but I certainly will. But there is no other option that makes sense for me and my family.
Okay, all right, that's fair, okay? One thing I know that I consider, is whether there are alternatives to violating the ordinance. And there are spaces in your yard, now they may not be as convenient, they may not be what you like, and that's, I'm not debating what your decision is, but I just need to ponder over whether there are alternatives.
Yeah, like I said,
Which would allow.
you're right. There absolutely are alternatives, but I just want to make it crystal clear. My kids will have a football field before I have a oak tree. So I will cut down the oak tree and put the shed where the oak tree was without the variance. Full stop.
Well, the oak tree is not an ordinance, and ordinances don't control the oak tree. I mean, I love trees and so forth, but I'm not considering that there's a tree right there. I'm considering whether there are alternatives to violating the ordinance.
And I'm saying yes, there are, and there are clearly alternatives. I am not disputing that, but if I do not chop down the oak tree, there are no alternatives that work for my family and I. So we will cut down the oak tree in lieu of any alternatives.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have any questions in order to consider this matter? Yes,
In the interest of exploring alternatives, is there a possibility of a time limitation on the variance, that you grant variance for a temporary structure?
Can you speak? I can't hear the gentleman speaking. I apologize.
Sorry, I was directing the question to Mike, but the question is whether or not there would be an alternative where a variance would be granted for a period of time that would expire after some particular time, 5 years, 10 years. If this was a less than permanent structure, you know, and the problem with granting a variance for a building is once it's there, then it's there in perpetuity. And is there an opportunity for a something that's less than that in terms of time span. So I don't know if that would be acceptable to you or something that's worth considering, a 10-year variance, for example.
Well,
No, I think I just cut the tree down before I mess with that. I mean, I don't care that much about the tree.
as a general matter, we can place conditions and grant some variance. So I hear what you're saying. I'm not going to express an opinion as to whether I think it's something I want to consider or not at this point. I think the petitioner just told you he's not interested. I'm curious in that. Okay, so,
Yep. And just to clarify, I just want to make sure I heard the gentleman. I just want to make sure I heard it. It was a little garbled. The suggestion was to request a variance for a certain period of time, which would expire at some point. Is that the recommendation?
that was his question. He brought that up as an alternative.
Got it. Yeah, and I just want to clarify on the record that if that is what the committee requests or provides, I'll just chop the tree down and keep the shed 30 feet off and move on with my life.
Yeah, and something like that, Doug, we need to continue talking about, so something like that would require enforcement, okay, after that period of time, by some town, building commission, building somebody, so that's something that we need to consider, so he's not interested in that. I understand. That doesn't mean it still doesn't mean it's not something you have to consider. Okay, so we have a petition here seeking a variance from 154-052C, which is the 30-foot setback from the causeway. That is the only variance, Council Mr. Willoughby, that is the only variance he would need. 154-057, that's a 20-foot setback, so this one is more specific. That's right. All right, so the variance is from, it's not in the petition, but I'll take it. The petition is very clear. 154-052C is the variance he's requested. So I understand that, we understand that. If there's no further comments by anybody, is there a motion to either continue this public hearing or continue this preliminary hearing or set it for a public hearing on June 14th?
Can I just clarify? I think it's 154 Appendix A and 154-052, correct? For both the 10 feet off the back of the property?
We can do that if you're, yes, we can do that to be more all-inclusive. My point was, when from a legal perspective, the most restrictive ordinance is the one that we need to deal with, and that's the 30-foot. But I think you're right, for sake of completeness, the variance would be a request from both 154-057 and 154-052. So you're right, thank you. Okay, so.
Okay, great, thank you.
Do I want to make a motion to set this for a public hearing or to continue this preliminary hearing?
I would move that we send it to a public hearing.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Mengel, I'll second his motion to set this for a public hearing on June 14th. Any further discussion? All in favor? Well, okay, right, and we've made this in votes taken, set a public hearing. We failed to address one point which you brought up. You asked us to waive your legal requirement to provide notice to properties within 300 feet of your property. And the reason you requested that is because you did that 2 years ago when you sought a different variance for this same shed. Did I say that?
Yeah, I'd actually like to retract that. I apologize. I'd like to retract that request. I don't know where the committee would land, but I think it is important for my neighbors to understand that without this variance, I'll be chopping down an oak tree that they probably value. And so I would like to make all of my neighbors aware.
Okay.
So I retract that request.
Nothing further to consider. Okay, so.
Other than just a point of clarity, if I can point you to the informational packet, and there are some alternatives in there to mailing, but they require some different effort or legwork. So there are forms in there, and there are different manners by which you can achieve service. So you'll have to make that decision but there are multiple forms. And you can have personal service, but there are certain parameters that you have to follow to accomplish that.
And so we're set for public hearing June 14th. Before the record is closed on this, I'll just respond to your last comment. This board is not telling you to cut down a tree. You're welcome to tell your neighbors, your friends, anything you want, okay? But just so we're on the record, that is not what the ordinance requires, and that's not what this board is seeking. So with that.
Yeah, and I just want to go on the record that without this variance, I will cut down the tree. Crystal clear, full stop, no debate. Without the variance, the tree is gone.
Oh, he drew his request, he's going to provide notice.
He wanted it on. Did you want to withdraw the whole thing and let the tree down, or doesn't?
When he's asking, he's set for public hearing, we're done. Okay, thank you very much.
All right,
We'll see you on.
thank you, everyone.
June 14th.
Have a good night. Thank you.
So,
Motion by
Thank you.
second by Doug Wickstrom, all in favor? Motion is being adjourned at 8:40, how's that, it costs, thank you.